On our final day in Paris, we explored history beneath the city in the Catacombs and strolled along the Seine to the sound of Notre Dame's bells and enjoyed a perfect Parisian dinner near the Arc de Triomphe. As we said goodbye, we leave with unforgettable memories and deep gratitude. Join us for this heartfelt farewell to the City of Light. Welcome to the Carlventures channel. I'm Carl, and alongside my husband Matthias, we're on an adventurous mission to explore the world with boundless curiosity and open hearts. Our journey is all about immersing ourselves in diverse cultures, connecting with people from all walks of life, and promoting positivity and understanding wherever we go. Join us as we embark on this thrilling adventure together, so buckle up and let's dive into the unknown. Hello everyone, it's our last day in Paris, and we're soaking in every moment before we say au revoir to this magical city. We started the day at one of the most iconic spots in the world, the Arc de Triomphe. There's something about standing underneath it, imagining the history, the parades, the celebrations. It's like you can feel the heartbeat of Paris right there. From there, we made our way to a completely different kind of Parisian landmark, one that takes you beneath the streets and into the hidden layers of history, the Catacombs. All right, let us take you underground for a minute, literally. The Catacombs are one of the most fascinating, eerie, and humbling places I've ever been. They're this massive labyrinth of tunnels and chambers about 20 meters beneath the city. Back in the late 1700s, Paris was dealing with overflowing cemeteries, and honestly, it was a health crisis. Graves were collapsing and people were falling ill because of how overcrowded things had become. So they decided to move millions, yes, millions, of remains into these old limestone quarries. The process started in 1786, and it wasn't just some random dumping of bones. There's an almost haunting beauty to it because they arranged the bones into these intricate patterns, almost like a macabre form of art. You'll see walls of neatly stacked femurs and skulls that stretch on forever. It's equal parts creepy and awe-inspiring. One of the stories that stuck with me is about a man named Philibert Asper. In the late 1700s, he was a doorkeeper who got lost in the catacombs with just a single lantern. It was found over a decade later, and his tombstone is down there, making the spot. It's a sobering reminder of how easy it is to get lost in this endless maze. It is also home to something called the chute, the stone spiral staircase that takes you deep into the tunnels. Walking down it, you feel the shift in the air. It's colder, damp, and oddly still. It's like you're stepping back in time. Being down there is an emotional roller coaster. There's a part of you that feels small, almost insignificant, standing among the remains of so many lives, but at the same time it makes you appreciate life and the layers of history we're all standing on. Definitely not your average tourist spot, but one I'll never forget. Walking through these narrow tunnels, it's hard to believe you're still in Paris. You go from the bustling streets above to this quiet, eerie world where time seems to stand still. The walls are damp, the air is cooler, and the only sound is a faint echo of your footsteps. What really struck me is how intentional everything is. This isn't just a mass grave. It's a carefully designed resting place. There are plaques and inscriptions throughout the tunnels, quotes about mortality and the passage of time. One of them stuck with me. It says, "Stop. This is the empire of the dead." It's chilling, but also strangely poetic, like the catacombs are reminding you to respect the lives that came before. The workers who transferred the remains took their job seriously, and you can see the reverence in the way they arranged the bones. There's even a section known as the Barrel of Bones, where femurs and skulls are stacked in a circular pattern around a central column. It's oddly artistic, but also a bit unsettling when you remember these were real people, each with their own story. Another fascinating piece of history is how the catacombs became a secret playground for adventurers over the years. In the 1980s, a group called the Cataphiles started exploring and mapping the hidden parts of the tunnels. They even held underground parties and art installations down there. It's wild to think about how a space originally created out of necessity has evolved into something so mysterious and cultural. As we continued walking, we came to the ossuary, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is the main section where most of the bones are stored. The sheer volume of remains is overwhelming. Over 6 million people are interred here. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around that number. You feel so small in the face of it, like you're just a speck in the grand story of humanity. After spending time in the ossuary, we started making our way out, which is easier said than done. Remember, the spiral staircase I mentioned earlier? The chute is tight. Winding staircase that takes you back up to the surface. Climbing it after being in the catacombs is almost symbolic. It's like emerging from the depths of history and stepping back into the light of the present.
Inside lane, missing exits, glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun.
When we finally reached the top, we were greeted by the noise and bustle of Paris again. It was such a stark contrast to the silence and stillness below. I took a deep breath of fresh air and just stood there for a moment thinking about how the catacombs are this hidden part of Paris that most people don't think about. It's humbling to be reminded of the layers beneath the surface, both in a city and in life. After that heavy dose of history, we wanted something a little lighter to wrap up the day, so we took a long, slow walk along the Seine. It was one of those perfect Parisian afternoons, the kind where the city feels like it's putting on a show just for you. As we strolled, we started hearing the bells of the Notre Dame. It's been years since they last rang like that, but now, with the cathedrals reopening on the horizon, it feels like Paris is holding its breath. Seeing Notre Dame up close is a bit emotional. The scaffolding is still there, but you can tell she's almost ready to welcome the world again. There's something poetic about watching such an enduring symbol of hope and resilience come back to life. We stood there for a while, listening to the bells and watching the light bounce off the Seine. It's moments like that when Paris just feels like a dream. As the sun set, we made our way back toward the Arc de Triomphe for one last dinner in the city. We found this little spot nearby, a cozy restaurant that felt quintessentially Parisian.
I know, but it's
With candlelit tables and a view of the Arc, we toasted to the unforgettable trip over wine, the most amazing dinner. After dinner, we wandered back to the Arc for some nighttime photos. The way it lights up at night is just magical. It's one of those images that stays with you long after you've left. Next morning, as we packed up and headed to the airport, we couldn't help but feel this overwhelming sense of gratitude. Paris isn't just a city, it's an experience. From the history to the food to the quiet moments by the Seine, it has this way of filling your heart. And now, as we leave, we're taking a little piece of Paris with us. Au revoir, Paris. Until next time.
Goodbye, Pat.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more.